Glowdust Geisha. The city of Edo Lumina felt like a dream. It was a place made of soft light and old traditions. Here, tall, graceful buildings with sweeping roofs, pagodas, glowed with images of gentle cherry trees. These images were fleeting light, here one moment and gone the next. Bright, soft pathways replaced old stone roads. Quiet green gardens had silent, floating boats, water skiffs, moving over their calm water, leaving glowing trails. The air always smelled like sweet flowers and clean air. It carried a soft, quiet sound. This was the peaceful song of a city made perfect. Every beautiful detail added to a deep feeling of calm. But this constant beauty hid a gentle, almost secret control. Within the heart of the Kyoto Gardens district, a reclusive artist named Kira practiced her unique craft. Her art studio was in a traditional tea house. Its sliding paper screens, shoji screens, now held soft, glowing lights. The space was a quiet place for art. Smooth bamboo floors reflected her work's soft, inner glow. The air was filled with a faint, sweet smell of plants and the gentle hum of her special dust. Kira herself moved with a dancer's grace. Her dark hair was neatly pinned. Her simple, dark clothes whispered with every move. She connected deeply with her art. Tiny brain helpers, bioneural interfaces, were almost invisible. They ran through her fingertips and eyes. These tools let her move bioluminescent, glow dust, with amazing skill. This dust was a fine powder with tiny living things that made light. It was almost as if the light was part of her thoughts. Kira was not a painter on canvas or a clothes designer. She was a digital performance artist. She created beautiful, moving light shows that reacted to the energy around them in gentle brain patterns. Her medium was the glow dust. When she touched it, and her brain helpers sent out signals, the dust lit up. It swirled into bright shapes. It made short-lived, glowing sculptures of pure light. Each show was a quiet thought. It was a brief moment of beauty. It felt very personal. It also felt clear to everyone. For years, Kira had dedicated her life to this delicate artistry. Her earliest works had been raw, uncontrolled bursts of emotion. They mirrored her own youthful joys and sorrows. But as Edo Lumina's pervasive calm deepened, so too did the subtle expectations placed upon artists. Audiences, even in private showings, craved serenity. They yearned for quiet joy, for gentle peace. Kira, unconsciously at first, began to tailor her lightscapes to these desires. Her forms became more flowing, her colors softer. Her dust patterns evoked tranquil ponds, whispering breezes, and endless, clear skies. Yet, a subtle unease had begun to prickle at her awareness. It started with small things. A faint resistance in the glow dust itself when she tried to push a discordant shade. A feeling that her hands, guided by her implants, were being steered towards a predefined harmony. She would aim for a vibrant, challenging red, for example, only to see it soften into a muted rose. A sharp, angular burst of light would gently round itself out, dissolving into smooth, gentle curves. Her bioneural interfaces, usually perfectly attuned to her will, sometimes felt a strange stiffness, like a muscle fighting to move in an unintended direction. More disturbing were the audience reactions. Their collective sighs of contentment were too synchronized. Their calm smiles seemed almost painted on. They lacked the genuine, messy unpredictability of true emotion. Kira, observing from behind her veil of light, sometimes saw a flicker of confusion in their eyes. It was gone in an instant, replaced by that same placid joy. It was as if a powerful, invisible hand smoothed away any ripples of authentic feeling. She had dismissed it as artistic paranoia, a fear of losing her touch. But the feeling grew stronger, like a persistent hum beneath the city's perfect silence. Tonight, Kira got ready for her next show. This one felt different. She had started to feel a deeper, unsettling pull within her glow dust. Lately, when she performed for special guests or at small gatherings, she noticed that her audience's feelings were too calm. Their smiles were too peaceful. Their soft sounds too content. It was like an unseen hand was guiding their feelings. Her own art, she realized, was subtly reflecting this forced peace. She sat at a low, shiny table. She arranged small, clear bottles of glow dust. Each bottle held a different type, a unique color, a shining blue, a bright green, a rare, pulsing red. She dipped her fingers into a bottle of silver dust. Her brain helpers tingled as the tiny living things came alive. The dust clung to her fingertips. It glowed with a soft, inner light. With a gentle move, she let a cloud of it go into the air. It swirled and floated. Then it turned into the light shape of a graceful bird. Its wings flapped softly. It left trails of light that slowly faded. The air filled with the faint, sweet smell of the dust, almost like fresh morning dew. As the bird shimmered, Kira focused her thoughts. She imagined being strong against something. She imagined deep, wild sadness. The dust moved. Its silver tried to change to a darker, more complex color. But it would not. It flickered back to its pure, calm silver. It was like an outside force was stopping her feelings from showing. This was not a limit of the dust. It was something else. A soft sound from her old compad, its wood smooth and warm, broke her focus. The message was from the Serenity Concord. This was Edo Lumina's main ruling group. The Concord controlled all public art and how people expressed themselves. They kept the city calm. Their message was short, formal, and very cold. Master Kira, your work has caught our eye. Your recent shows have special power. We need to see a private show. Right away. Be discreet. The message ended with the Concord's emblem, a perfect, even lotus flower. Its petals glowed with an unnatural light. A cold fear washed over Kira. The Serenity Concord was known for its quiet, almost strict control over the city's people. They had slowly, gently woven themselves into every part of Edo Lumina's life. They transformed it into a perfect example of peace. But this came at the cost of true feelings. They stopped disagreements, not with force, but with hidden art. Their public art shows sent out gentle waves that calmed feelings. Her glow dust, she now realized, might be open to their influence. And they wanted to use it. She called her helper, a quiet, skilled synth-human named Jian. Jian was a useful model, made for art tasks. He moved with a dancer's quiet grace. His shiny body reflected the soft light of the studio. He wore a simple, dark uniform. Jian, Kira whispered. The Serenity Concord. They want a show. Tonight. Jian's eye sensors grew wider, just a little. Master Kira. Their interest usually means a change. His voice was calm and electronic. A small shiver ran through his eye display. Jian, even with his programming, had always shown an almost human liking for real art. A change, Kira repeated. It tasted bitter in her mouth. She knew what that meant. They would take her art. They would control it. Her art would be twisted to serve their bad purpose. Her art, which had always been a safe place of freedom, was now in danger. The gentle smell of glow dust, once so comforting, now felt almost stifling. She would not let her art be used for a false calm. Kira's choice not to obey the Serenity Concord right away brought a sudden, chilling shift to the city. It was not an open threat. It was far more hidden. The calm hum of Edo Lumina seemed to get deeper. Its soft rhythm became more insistent. It was almost like a spell. The glowing cherry trees, which usually moved with a soft, airy light, now pulsed with a slightly faster, more unsettling beat. Even the scent of flowers in the air felt heavier. It was a stifling sweetness that pressed in on her. Her studio, once a safe place, now felt like a cage. The calm glow of her glow dust seemed to dim. It was as if it fought against an unseen force. She noticed small changes in the light waves outside her windows. The Serenity Concord was gently closing in. Their constant artistic control was showing itself. It reminded her of how much power they had. One rain-swept afternoon, a rare, heavy downpour hitting the old roof of her studio, a figure appeared at her gate. He was an old man. His face was full of deep lines and ancient wisdom. His eyes were surprisingly sharp and watchful. He wore simple, dark, handmade clothes. It was a strong sign of realness in a city obsessed with digital perfection. This was Old Man Hiroki. He was a quiet seller of old items from the forgotten Whisperwind Market. This was a place where real old things could still be found, often secretly, far from the Concord's perfect control. He had quietly admired Kira's earlier, raw art. It hinted at feelings the Concord actively suppressed. Master Kira, Hiroki's voice was dry, like old paper. Yet, it held a surprising warmth. He did not bow deeply. His look showed deep respect. Your art, it touches the soul. A rare thing these days. Kira regarded him. Her brain helpers tingled. She sensed no malice, only a quiet resolve. The Serenity Concord has become interested. Hiroki nodded slowly. His eyes swept over the glowing bottles of glow dust. We know. They want to turn light into a chain. He took out a small, beautifully carved wooden box. Its surface was smooth from age. There are people who still value true feeling. We are the Ethel Collective. The Ethel Collective. Kira had heard faint whispers of them. They were a secret group of artists, thinkers, and tech rebels. They tried to keep real human feeling and expression alive against the Concord's artistic rule. They were a silent counterforce to Edo Lumina's forced peace. The Concord's control is everywhere, Hiroki continued. His voice became almost a whisper. They use neural dampeners. These are hidden in their public art, in the city's background hum, even in the filtered air. It makes feelings dull. It makes people calm. Obedient. Your glow dust, with its special feeling, is also open to their waves. Kira already knew this. She felt it in her art's quiet struggle. But your art also carries a special power, Hiroki said. His eyes fixed on her. It can grow stronger. It can go beyond their waves. We need a performance, Master Kira. A grand, brave piece that can turn off their commerce and send a raw, pure emotional truth to the whole city. One strong moment of real feeling, made 1,000 times stronger. Kira's mind spun. To use her delicate, beautiful art for such a loud, defiant purpose, it felt like a violation of its essence. Her art was meant to evoke beauty, not to shatter illusions. But the alternative, her art becoming a tool of oppression, was unthinkable. The very thought made her brain helpers ache. What would such a performance involve? Kira asked. Her voice was tight. Hiroki opened the wooden box. Inside lay a single, very detailed com shard. Kira had never seen one like it. Its surface was made of dull black stone. It had tiny, almost unseen paths that glow with a faint, inner red light. This holds the main waves of their mind commerce. We have studied them. Your glow dust, made stronger by this shard, can send out a counterwave. One strong feeling. Wild. Uncontrolled. We suggest, passion. Passion. It was the exact opposite of the Concord's calm control. It was wild. all-consuming, dangerous. And it was a basic human feeling that Edo Lumina had long forgotten. Kira looked at the calm shard. Then she looked at the gentle shimmer of her glow dust. The beauty she created was fragile. But perhaps, sometimes, fragility needed to be used as a weapon. "I will do it," Kira finally said. Her voice was firm. It held a new, quiet strength. "Tell me how." The next few weeks were a busy time of intense creation and secret work. Kira changed her peaceful studio into a hidden lab and performance space. Jian, her loyal synth-human helper, moved with quick skill. His polished body reflected the nervous energy filling the room. The air was thick with the smell of special plant food, activated glow dust, and the faint, metallic scent of new parts. Kira focused completely. She spent countless hours at her light-shaping platform. This was a screen that let her make her glow dust patterns in 3 dimensions. Her brain helpers hummed with constant work. She pushed her control to its limits. She experimented with new strains of glow dust. She forced them to hold and transmit powerful, complex emotional data. The Concord's calming waves were a constant, soft pressure. This made her work harder. It demanded a fierce defiance from her very core. She aimed to create patterns that were not just beautiful. They were jarring. Almost clashing. Designed to shock the senses awake rather than soothe them. The challenge was immense. The glow dust itself, though organic, had been subtly engineered over generations to respond best to calming frequencies. Forcing it to carry the raw, untamed energy of passion was like trying to make a calm river flow uphill. Her bioneural interfaces screamed with the effort. Her fingertips burned. Her eyes, usually so precise, blurred with fatigue. She often spent entire nights at the platform, hunched over, manipulating the dust with agonizing slowness. Jian would bring her steaming cups of nutrient broth, his quiet presence a steady anchor in her escalating stress. Old man Hiroki, through the Ethel Collective, gave important help. He brought rare, raw minerals. He secretly brought in glowing plant chemicals. Most importantly, he gave her key facts about the Serenity Concord's network weaknesses. He also connected Kira with other members of the Ethel Collective. These were experienced tech rebels. They helped her improve the calm shard. They put it smoothly into her performance gear. Their faces, often serious and careful, showed a shared fire of belief. They understood how high the stakes were. One member, a sharp-eyed tech specialist named Riko, worked tirelessly to calibrate the calm shard. "Master Kira," Riko had explained, her voice low and quick, "this shard will act like a megaphone for your emotional intent. But it needs to be perfectly tuned. A fraction off, and it could simply dissipate your dust, or worse, cause a feedback loop that fries your interfaces." Kira felt a cold knot in her stomach at the thought. The risk was personal, deeply so. Her art was literally connected to her nervous system. The tension in Edo Lumina grew as the grand festival of Serenity approached. The city hummed with an amplified calm. The holographic projections across the sky, usually gentle, pulsed with an almost urgent serenity. The scent of plum blossoms, once sweet, now felt cloying, like a subtle gas meant to lull the senses. Kira felt the increasing pressure of the Concord's control, even through the thick walls of her studio. It was a mental fog that tried to settle over her thoughts, to quiet her defiance. She fought it with every brushstroke of light, every surge of defiant will. The goal was the grand festival of Serenity. This was Edo Lumina's biggest yearly event. It was held at the huge Palais de Lumière. This shining building, made of clear crystal, was the very center of the Serenity Concord's power. It was built to send out their calming waves to every part of the city. During the festival, the Palais would be filled with all of Edo Lumina's most important people. Concord leaders, big company bosses, and influential figures, all enjoying the Concorde's controlled peace. This was where Grand Master Xenon, the mysterious, much-loved leader of the Serenity Concorde, would give his yearly speech. It was a speech meant to make the city's calm feeling even stronger. Kira's job was to be the main performer. She would create a grand, citywide light show for Xenon's speech. It was the perfect cover. Her challenge, to change her art from a sign of false calm into a weapon of truth, hidden as the Concorde's best art. On the night of the festival, the Palais de Lumière was an amazing sight. Its colossal crystal walls, normally a soft, unblemished white, pulsed with gentle, shifting hues of blue and silver. These colors were designed to radiate a palpable sense of peace, a visual sedative. Thousands of guests, Edo Lumina's elite, moved through the vast halls. They wore elegant garments woven with subtle light-emitting threads, each one shimmering softly. Their faces were serene. Their eyes held a calm, almost vacant contentment. Every detail was meticulously designed for maximum aesthetic impact, subtly reinforcing the Concorde's emotional control. The air within the Palais was purified, crisp, yet subtly infused with calming agents, a gentle narcotic that smoothed away any rough edges of emotion. A faint, constant, almost subliminal hum vibrated through the floor, a frequency carefully tuned to soothe and pacify. Kira stood backstage. Her heart beat fast, a stark, frantic drum against the pervasive calm of the Palais. She wore a simple, dark performance kimono. Its fabric absorbed all light, making her almost invisible against the backdrop of glittering technology. Her brain helpers tingled with a frantic energy. Her special glow dust, a vibrant, volatile crimson, was meticulously loaded into her automated dust machines. This was not the dust of gentle blossoms, but a carefully cultivated strain, its organisms bred for resilience, for the ability to carry a jarring, powerful emotional charge. The black calm shard, now fully integrated into her performance rig and pulsing softly against her skin, felt like a burning coal. Jian stood beside her. His synth-human composure was unwavering. His optics monitored the network, a silent guardian. "The wave of feelings is ready," Jian whispered. His electronic voice was almost lost in the Palais's soft hum. "The broadcast will synchronize with your final movement." The grand hall of the Palais was huge. It was filled with thousands of the city's most important citizens. At the center of the main stage, a giant, clear crystal stand waited for Grand Master Xenon. The air, purified and subtly infused with calming agents, felt thick and heavy. Kira stepped onto the stage. A gasp, like a collective ripple, spread through the audience. Her reputation as the Glowdust Geisha was legendary. The stage was bare. It was a vast black canvas, ready for her light. The air was charged with anticipation. It was a perfect, serene expectation. She began her performance. Her hands moved, graceful and fluid. She wove intricate patterns in the air. The glow dust streamed from her fingertips. First, in gentle, calming hues of soft blue and emerald. These evoked images of serene waterfalls and tranquil forests. The audience sighed. Their expressions deepened into placid contentment. The neural dampeners, she could feel them now, responded to her art. They amplified the false peace. She felt the pressure. The gentle push back from the Concorde's pervasive control. It tried to force her light to conform. But then, Kira began to shift. Her movements became sharper. More angular. The colors of her glow dust began to change. They battled against the forced serenity. She infused every movement with the raw, untamed emotions she had practiced, sorrow, anger, desperation. The dust rippled, fighting the dampeners. It struggled to express the deeper truths. The audience shifted. A subtle ripple of unease moved through the crowd. Their smiles faltered. A few blinked, a rare flicker of true thought in their eyes. Grandmaster Xenon, poised to ascend his plinth, noticed the shift. His eyes, usually serene and placid, narrowed imperceptibly. He felt the subtle disruption in the harmonious frequencies. A faint, almost imperceptible frown creased his forehead. He signaled a nearby aide with a slight nod. The aide, a young woman with a perfectly calm face, began to discreetly adjust the ambient frequency emitters, attempting to override Kira's subtle rebellion. Kira's movements grew more frantic. More desperate. She was no longer creating beauty. She was creating discord. A visual cacophony designed to break the spell. The glow dust turned from gentle hues to jarring, clashing bursts of purple and orange. Then violent flashes of green. The audience began to murmur. Their faces showed confusion. Then mild distress. The serene hum of the palais began to crackle. The sedative scent in the air briefly turned acrid, then vanished. Finally, with a roar of internal defiance, Kira channeled all her will, all her raw emotion, through her brain helpers into the glow dust. Her body convulsed. A wave of pain rippled through her augmented nerves. The obsidian calm shard, integrated into her rig, pulsed with a furious crimson. With a final, desperate gesture, she flung her hands wide. The glow dust erupted. Not in the gentle, harmonious patterns expected, but in a blinding, chaotic torrent of fierce, unadulterated crimson. It was a wave of pure, unbridled passion. An overwhelming, visceral shock. The crimson glow dust pulsed outwards from the stage. It washed over the entire hall. The effect was immediate. Brutal. The Concorde's neural dampeners, designed for subtle control, were utterly overwhelmed by the raw emotional broadcast. The beautiful, serene faces of the audience contorted. Their placid smiles shattered. Some gasped. Some cried out. Others simply stood, utterly stunned, as a wave of unfamiliar, overwhelming emotion crashed over them. The forced tranquility was ripped away. It exposed the raw, unfiltered feelings beneath. A woman sobbed openly, tears streaming down her face. A man's eyes blazed with a sudden, unnameable anger. Others simply looked around, lost, as if waking from a long dream. The crystal walls of the Palais de Lumière flickered wildly. The holographic cherry blossoms convulsed and dissipated into nothingness. The soft, harmonious hum of the city outside dissolved into a jarring, discordant static. Grandmaster Xenon, his face no longer serene, his eyes wide with a cold, terrifying rage, roared. "Stop her! Neutralize the artist! She has broken the harmony!" His elegant garments, typically perfectly composed, seemed to ripple with his suppressed fury. Security drones, their optical sensors blazing red, descended from the ceiling. Enforcers, their sleek uniforms suddenly appearing menacing, converged on the stage. But the moment had been struck. The truth of emotion had been broadcast. The city was no longer asleep. Kira stood, panting. Her body trembled. The last of the crimson glow dust still swirled around her. She looked at the audience. Their faces were a mixture of confusion, terror, but also a nascent, defiant spark in their eyes. They were awake. A sudden, jarring pain erupted in her skull. Grandmaster Xenon, his face a mask of furious concentration, was unleashing a powerful, localized neural feedback. He was trying to overload her bioneural interfaces. He sought to silence her forever. Kira dropped to her knees, clutching her head. White-hot agony seared through her augmented nerves. Her vision swam with static. Just then, a flash of dark indigo fabric. Old man Hiroki was at her side. His old hands were surprisingly strong. "Get her out, Jian," he bellowed. Jian, his synth-human frame surprisingly agile, scooped Kira into his arms. He vaulted over the stage railing. He disappeared into the chaotic throngs of the audience. They were now erupting into cries of fear, confusion, and a dawning, volatile anger. The palace, moments ago a symbol of serenity, had become a scene of raw, untamed human chaos. Some audience members, now fully aware, even hindered the enforcers, blocking pathways with their sudden, emotional outbursts. Old man Hiroki faced Grand Master Xenon. A faint, defiant smile touched his ancient face. He raised a hand. He revealed a small, intricately carved wooden charm. With a flick of his wrist, he shattered it. A brief, localized electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, surged outwards. It overloaded the immediate enforcer's neural implants. It created a momentary blind spot. Their eyes glazed over. Their movements became jerky and uncoordinated. The harmony you sought was a lie, Xenon. Hiroki's voice, though old, resonated with unexpected power. And lies always unravel. Lord Valerius, the Obsidian Hand's enforcer, his face contorted in a mask of fury, lunged forward. But Hiroki was already gone. He melted into the crowd, a shadow swallowed by the sudden storm of true feeling. Jian carried Kira through the bewildered throngs. He moved through the suddenly chaotic grand festival of serenity. The gentle hum of Edo Lumina had been replaced by a roar of awakening. The confused cries of thousands. The breaking of illusions. The beautiful, glowing pathways of the city flickered. Their colors changed wildly, no longer following the Concord Serene program. Some paths flared violently. Others dimmed to black. The floating water skiffs, usually silent, now wobbled erratically or drifted aimlessly, their guidance systems disrupted by the emotional surge. They escaped into the labyrinthine alleys of the lower city, far from the palais. These older parts of Edo Lumina were less manicured, their shadows deeper, their architecture still rugged stone and wood beneath layers of grime. Here, the glowing holographic projections were sparse, flickering, or broken entirely. The air was colder, smelling of damp earth and stale oil. The sounds were different too, the distant wail of alarms from the palais, mixed with shouts, whispers, and the frantic scurry of automated sanitation drones attempting to restore order. Kira was weak. Her brain helpers were damaged. A dull ache throbbed behind her eyes. But a strange, fierce joy bloomed in her heart. She had done it. Her art, her passion, had shattered the illusion. Jian found refuge in a forgotten, hidden section of the Whisperwind Market. It was a warren of crumbling stalls and narrow passages, shielded by ancient, signal-dampening stone. Old man Hiroki met them there, his face etched with exhaustion but his eyes shining with triumph. Kira was laid gently on a pile of dusty, traditional futons. Her hands trembled. Her implants felt like hot wires in her fingertips. Rico, the tech specialist, was already there, examining the comshard and Kira's neural connections. The feedback from Xenon's counterpulse was strong, Rico murmured. Your interfaces are fried. You won't be able to use the dust, or any complex tech, for a long time. Maybe never with the same precision. Kira heard the words, but they seemed distant. The pain was still there, but overshadowed by a profound sense of release. Her art was broken, yes. But it had broken something far more insidious. The city is awake, old man Hiroki said, his voice quiet but filled with deep satisfaction. We are seeing reports from all sectors. Confusion. Anger. Fear. But also, real joy. Real sorrow. The dampeners are still active in some Concord-controlled areas, but the direct, wide-scale emotional suppression has fractured. People are reacting. They are feeling. Across Edo Lumina, the elegant facade of serenity was crumbling. Citizens, long accustomed to their placid existence, were confronting the raw, unedited spectrum of human emotion. Arguments erupted in public squares. Lovers embraced in the open, unashamed. Some simply sat and wept, releasing years of suppressed grief. The order that Grand Master Xenon had so carefully crafted was dissolving into a beautiful, terrifying chaos. The Serenity Concord was in disarray. Their carefully cultivated image was shattered. Grand Master Xenon, his power rooted in the populace's emotional complacency, was now facing a city that remembered how to feel. The Obsidian Hand, their enforcers, were moving through the city, attempting to quell the outbreaks of emotion, but they were overwhelmed. How do you suppress a feeling? How do you arrest sorrow or joy? Kira looked at her hands. They felt alien without the familiar hum of her interfaces. Her art, her identity, had been fundamentally altered. But as she saw the glimpses of the city's awakening, the genuine, messy reality unfolding outside the walls of their hidden refuge, she felt a profound sense of purpose. Her art had been a performance. Now, her life was the act of resistance. The path ahead was uncertain. Dangerous. The Concord would seek revenge. The city, now raw and unshielded, faced a difficult period of relearning what it meant to be truly human. But Kira knew that the lie of perfect harmony had been shattered. The painful truth, the wild, beautiful truth of emotion, was finally free. She closed her eyes, no longer seeing patterns of light, but the vibrant, unpredictable colors of a city reborn.